Oh, Men in Black International. Now, I remember the original Men in Black was a lot of fun. I went back and rewatched it. It's a great little sci-fi buddy comedy. You have great chemistry there. You have great alien designs. You have a beautifully bizarre story. It's very quirky, very comical, and I just love the whole weirdness of the situation. But now we have a spin-off. Now, spin-off could be unique, could be interesting. It focuses on a different branch of the Men in Black. Now we're shifting over to London because they're in charge of the whole planet. Surely there's other divisions and stuff like that, which could be interesting. I kind of like this aspect. I've kind of been more for like if you're going to do a franchise, take it in different areas. Maybe an international branch, maybe a little subsection. Follow other characters, and that's what we do here. The only issue is that the way they set this up, I think the main problem is, Men in Black International, it has a lot of problems. But I think the biggest problem is that it kind of mistakes the tech for the character, for the camaraderie, that I believe was at the heart and soul of Men in Black. Like, if I had to choose one aspect of the original film that I felt worked best, it was the duality of the character chemistry. The very stern Tommy Lee Jones, who's all business, and the kind of more like reactive and kind of like emotionally driven and kind of very and much louder Will Smith. They played well together, and that's why even though I found like the second film to be terrible and the third film to be very lukewarm, their character chemistry holds up throughout the series. But now we have new characters. So now we got to establish some new Men in Black characters, and they kind of come together in the same way. One's a seasoned member of the Men in Black. The other is a newbie who's just kind of like stumbled her way in, and that's kind of like how it proceeds, more or less. So the character who stumbles in is Molly, who's played by Tessa Thompson. So now we establish Molly as kind of this girl who, well, we start with her as a girl, where she watched her parents be neuralized after she witnessed a alien pop up in her bedroom. Now she avoids the neuralization, she remembers the Men in Black, and she remembers the alien that she encountered. So she spends the rest of her life trying to figure out, are there aliens out there, and is there a Men in Black, and if there is, I want in. So she spends her whole life studying like secret appearances of aliens and trying to figure out where the Men in Black are located. And then eventually, once she stumbles in there, she basically says, "Hey, I want in. I'll do whatever it takes. I've devoted my whole life to this." And Emma Thompson, who shows up once again as one of the leaders of the Men in Black, says, "Well, all right, sure, why not? If you want it, then sure, we'll put you to the test. We'll put you on a probationary period and see how you do over in London. We'll shoot you on over to London." And she's paired up with Agent H, who is played by Chris Hemsworth. Now, Agent H is kind of the more... It's interesting because here we kind of almost like shift the personalities of the first film. So like the newbie is the kind of like, the more straight by the book, very, almost kind of like sophisticated agent. And you have Agent H, who's kind of more of a James Bond type. He likes to dash into situations with his gun. He likes to throw himself into situations where he might not make it out alive, but likes taking the risk. He's very, he's very, very roguish. He likes to, boast about how great he is and how he's like taken down this alien threat called the Swarm alongside his partner, played by Liam Neeson. And he loves to make love to the alien women. So yeah, total Bond character. Now, these two characters, they could actually work really well. You could have like these two battling each other. But the problem is, and I think this is kind of a problem with most like Sony franchise films, is that they kind of make the characters feel like apart, where they don't really clash that much. Which was kind of one of the aspects that I loved about Men in Black. It's like there would constantly be commentary slung back and forth between the two. And here it kind of feels like they're trying to be way too nice to each other. And that's mostly because there isn't a huge shift in the changing of their characters. Like Hemsworth is pretty much the same character at the end of the film as he was at the beginning, and so is Tessa Thompson. Tessa Thompson's character starts off as a kind of like know-it-all nerd, and she ends the film as a know-it-all nerd. Chris Hemsworth starts off as kind of a James Bondish rogue, and he ends the film as a James Bondish rogue. And I think it's mostly because the plot they're given here is not that Interesting. They basically have to stop this new threat of aliens related to the Swarm, I believe they're called, who Chris Hemsworth and Liam Neeson tackled years ago. But now they have a new threat that is wielding some great new tech, like this giant weapon that can apparently put holes in planets and stuff like that. So there's this whole battle going on for it, and there's also a mole within the organization that they got to deal with. And it proceeds very strangely enough. This whole adventure kind of proceeds very procedurally. Like it feels like it's just kind of like going about the motions. They kind of like make the expected quips here and there. Not a whole lot catches you off guard here. There is some cool alien designs here and there, but they don't really catch you off guard. They're mostly kind of by design. Like, it's not like the first film where, you'd have like a character get his head blown off and then it would just kind of like magically grow back. And I feel like the biggest problem with this type of story is that there's not quite a Will Smith character. There's not quite an audience surrogate to react to all the weirdness. Because, like, I mean, you would think that Tessa Thompson's character would be more kind of like dumbfounded. Like, I was kind of hoping this would happen with her character. I was kind of hoping that she would feel like she knew everything and then came into the organization and then when dropped into the field, kind of realizes that, I don't quite know everything. Which it seemed like it was heading into that direction where she didn't quite feel like she knew everything and would have to learn quite a bit from Agent H. And then eventually by the end of the film, she'd be a little bit looser, but still more intelligent. Still have that kind of like nerdiness that she had at the beginning of the film, and have a little bit of character evolution. But they don't really step on her toes. They don't really shift her up that much. They kind of like keep her within that same box that they keep within Hemsworth. And I mean, the whole plot of like, trying to track down this alien device and this alien weapon and this alien invasion and a mole within the organization is treated just so like by the numbers. Like, it doesn't really feel like there's much of a sense of urgency with this. It really... It feels like it needs that extra boost of charisma. And it's mostly because a lot of the dialogue really doesn't land here. You can tell they're trying for quips, but they all feel like they're just quips like pulled out of a book. Like, I couldn't believe, like, in the scene where they're suiting up Tessa Thompson, this could be a funny scene. Tessa Thompson's getting all suited up. She's trying to find a suit that fits. She's trying to find a gun that's, apt for her. And this is the problem. I don't want to do this, but it forces me to, is the comparisons to the original. Because in the original film, remember when Will Smith got the tiny little gun, the noisy cricket, you would say like, man, you give me this small gun. What the heck is wrong with this? What the heck is going on with this thing? And here in the film, there's a similar scene with Tessa Thompson where she gets like the tiny little gun and she looks at it and she's just like, mm-mm. And then she gets the big gun and all she says is, check please. It's like, I would expect that maybe from a cartoon, but, can you add a little bit more here? And also, there's a whole bunch of other quips that are kind of delivered half-heartedly. Like, at one point, Chris Hemsworth is being shot at, and then he says, like, oh, now I'm really pissed off. Except there doesn't feel like there's a lot that's pissing him off right now. And so they just kind of like plug in little quips here and there, regardless of whether or not they work with the chemistry. Maybe they were intended to work if they had like, more chemistry between the characters, more energetic action scenes and stuff like that. Maybe there could have been something there. But so much of it doesn't land. The story just kind of drags on. There's a twist at the end, which is really not that interesting. You can pretty much, even I imagine even even a lot of like audiences would be able to figure out the twist pretty early on here, like who the real mole of the agency is, what really happened with the Swarm. It's just so by the numbers, and nothing lands. I mean, the only real laughs I got out of the film was kind of from from Kumail voicing Pawnee, who's like an alien of this kind of like like this chess race of alien characters. He gets it, and he gets in the most funny lines, mostly because he's just kind of like commenting on everything else here. But again, he's in his own little box where he's only meant to give like kind of like passing kind of like kind of quip-worthy comments and nothing really all that scathing. There's a few moments where he gets in just a little bit of scathing, but just enough, because again, doesn't want to offend anybody, doesn't want to hurt anyone's feelings, doesn't want to step all over them. Which is odd, because there are scenes where it feels like they are trying to step over one another, And if they are, I kind of wish there's a little bit more emotion there, a little bit more of you know, you know, panic or urgency or a manic nature, something to get us out of the doldrums here of just, you know, kind of just this passive remake of Men in Black. But it unfortunately isn't there, and it's just they spend a lot more time talking about like alien technology and showcasing, you know, a motorbike that can fly and a giant weapon and this alien swarm, which the aliens they have here just have barely any charisma. They're mostly, you know, those kind of like stock aliens who they infest human bodies and they don't really say much, and they're made out of pure energy and they can regenerate themselves and they don't talk much, so they're meant to seem more intimidating. But they're really not that intimidating when you look at them. So I don't know. Like it feels like this is very much in the world of Men in Black. I feel like they've got that right. But the thing is, to make that world kind of more interesting, you've got to have this. Especially if you want to make it like a buddy picture, you got to have this great buddy dynamic in order to get some more of that sci-fi comedy to come out here. And I just don't feel like it's here. Especially like a lot of the dialogue doesn't land. The plot is not that interesting. The villains are not that interesting. Honestly, I think we kind of lose a bit of what the aliens are actually trying to do here. And it's mostly because we get lost in the whole plot of a mole, which seems strange because there's a lot of expositional talk in this film. But like I said, you know, there isn't much personality because, like I said, most of the characters end up talking about, you know, alien tech or alien plots, or they're making kind of quips like "check please," or they're talking about how good they look in suits. And yes, okay, I'll admit this. Yes, Tessa Thompson, she does look good in the Men in Black suit. She does look good. I just don't need the movie literally telling me for like the first 5 minutes that she looks good in the suit. Like, it feels like that should have been a great one-off line. Like when she's trying to make her case, like, I should be the Men in Black. And it's like, why should you be the Men in Black? Well, because, you know, I have no life. I've studied up on all the aliens. I'm very astute. I'm very committed. I'll do whatever you say. And I look good in a suit. That would have been a great just little puncher line. But they have to keep drawing back and forth to it. Back and forth. Saying like, you know, well, I look good in the suit. Well, the suit looks good. I really look good in a suit. Emma Thompson, you look good in a suit too. You look really good. It's like, okay, I get it. Yes, you look good. But can we talk about other stuff? Can we stop talking about like the tech and the costumes and the decadence? Can we have some more personality here, please? Can we have some of that? And unfortunately, we don't get it here. So yeah, Men in Black International, 1.5 out of 5 stars.